Hello, I'm Joe Walensky, and I'm the conference director for Convey UX, the annual conference that's produced by Blink. And our 12th annual event is coming up in Seattle the last 3 days of February, and it's also going to be online. And one of the fun things I get to do is talk to all of the speakers who are going to be part of the event. And today I am joined by two who will also be a trio at the conference. Atulya Chaganty, Scott Lambridis, and not with us, but part of this activity is Brittany Shizzle. So hello, Atulya and Scott. It's good to have this chance to talk to you.
Joe, thanks for having us.
Well, I'm talking from my home office in Bellingham, which is north of Blink's headquarters office in Seattle. Atulya, where are you talking to us from?
I am in Seattle proper. I'm at the top of Queen Anne, so not too far from Blink's office.
And how about you, Scott?
I am magically enough in Bellingham as well.
All right. Well, yeah, and his colleagues at Blink also able to chat with you on a regular basis. But this is specifically about your activity as speakers at the conference. But before we get into that topic, why don't we start by having you talk a little bit about your background and the nature of your work. So Atulya, would you like to start out?
Sure. Yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Atulya. So I am a designer here at Blink, and I kind of got into it in a sort of windy path that really taught me a lot. I studied English, law, worked in those fields, and then shifted over to industrial design, which then led me to the world of design holistically. So now I work as an interaction designer and strategist here at Blink, and I absolutely love what I do. Scott, how about you?
Hi there, everyone. I'm Scott. I'm currently VP of Design at Blink. I've been with Blink for a little over a decade and really focused on building and growing UX and design teams for the last 15 or so, always as a consultant and really helping just establish a great culture where designers can do great work. And a lot of what I do is focused on now the operation side of design, which I love, to help give everybody all the tools that they need in order to be able to work really well and work really quickly and joyously. But my early background and kind of one of the main loves that has threaded through my whole career is really brain science and just understanding how people think and consciousness, which you wouldn't think is necessarily part of what drives my love for UX, but actually a few levels deep is down in there.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the topic that you're going to present at the conference. The title, What If Our Future Looked More Like Baymax and Less Like the Terminator? Tulio, Tulio, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about how you came around to this topic and what we can expect from it?
Yeah, for sure. So we were really thinking about how we as an organization at Blink really want to think about whether it's approaching AI, designing with it, designing for it, making it part of our process, making it part of our practice, but also how we can help our clients also upskill in it and be able to use it, whether it's internally or with their products. And so we're really thinking about what our stance is on this, what's our point of view, how do we sort of set ourselves up for the future? And there's been a lot of talk on what AI is capable of, what is possible. And some of that future is really dark, and it's really seen in this sci-fi, all things bad kind of scenario. And we were also considering what are possibilities of AI that are good. Could it help humanity? Could it support it? Could it help us reach our goals that maybe we are aspirational at this moment, but we could really tackle using some new tools in our toolkit? And so we've been really thinking about what our stance is at Blink. And so this talk really takes you on the journey of us doing our work internally, how we've incorporated AI into our processes, and how we have fun with it, how we play with it, how we explore, how we experiment, and really understand how it works and pushes the boundaries of what we can do as a tool in our toolkit. and then also talks about what we use it for our clients, as well as thinking about the big picture and how we want to sculpt what AI is in the future and how that fits into the larger design conversation and what our take is. And after we tell you all of that fun stuff, we're also going to share a little bit about how you can get started with AI. So how other teams and organizations can think about incorporating AI, whether it's into their process or sharing that with their clients or in their product strategy, but really considering both AI as a tool and a supplement to what you do. So part of the process as well as an outcome of your process. So that's kind of where it came from, to see AI from both directions.
Yeah, the kernel of it for me goes back a number of months. I was originally invited to the GeekWire Summit to do a talk, a smaller kind of intro version of this that had the original seed. And what stuck in my mind at the time was this hype cycle, right? As Atulya is pointing to, the hype cycle around AI, and it swings in two different directions, like, oh, it's the savior of the world, or oh, it's the evil of the world. And I was asked to think about how to demystify that hype cycle a little bit and get it down to more practical today. Like, what is actually happening with it? What can you actually do with it? How might you actually think about it? And realized I didn't have a point of view on that yet, even though we had started working with clients who had been asking about it. So it really came about for us internally at Blink to demystify it for ourselves and to take some of what we're learning from actual, clients and partners and industries out there and translate that where we could for other teams and say, here's the actual opportunities right now, and here's how you might actually take advantage, and here are the actual considerations and how to start approaching them so that ultimately you can use it for good and take good advantage of it and not fall on either side of that hype cycle. And really it's meant to, it's not like we've figured it out fully, but as we've come to a point where we feel like, all right, we've got enough of a point of view that we can start sharing with others, this is really an opportunity to be able to do that.
Well, this would be a great addition to the AI discussion, as that's one of the major themes of the conference this year. Scott, in your position, I know you're involved with a lot of projects all the time on a regular basis, but is there anything right now that you're particularly excited about, something that you're really passionate about that you're working on?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I kind of split my time often working on new partnerships with clients in types of engagements that are a little bit more strategic and stretching our services a little bit more into product strategy and organizational strategy, which is exciting for us because it really helps us set up the type of work and set up the organizations that we're working with to be able to actually deliver and implement and get out into the world, meaningful, delightful work. So we're doing that. There's a couple of really juicy product strategy projects right now that we're doing, one in the automotive space and one in the developer tool space that I'm really excited about. And then internally, one thing that I've been just really excited about for the last number of months is how to elevate and up-level our DEI thinking and practices into our actual work and our process. We recently launched a summary of where we are in our own DEI journey on our website, and we're using our own evidence gathering process now with some of our clients or potential clients and partners to get some feedback on it and get some candid, humility inspiring responses about how we can do better and where we should put our efforts in the future to do better at doing good.
Well, thanks for sharing those interests in activities. Kind of going in a different direction. We have a conference bookstore that is going to be in person at the Seattle event, produced by Ada's Bookstore, which is a local bookstore in the Seattle area. But they're also doing an online version of that, and so we're always looking for titles to add to that book list. And let me ask you, Atulya, do you have a recommendation on a book that you think might be of interest to others?
Oh, always. You definitely got some super book nerds in the two of us. So if anyone ever needs recommendations, we are the two people to definitely come to. I'd say the most recent one that I really enjoyed reading was called Animal Vegetable Junk by Mark Bittman. It took me a minute to get through it because it's a pretty dense read at points, but it tells you the history of food. And I thought it was such an interesting read and such a great perspective on really thinking about things in systems, because he talks about how everything is connected in our food system. And while that seems really obvious, he really draws a lot of threads throughout history about how the development of agriculture, even economics, and everything in our society changed with the way our food changed and how one affects the other. It was just a really fascinating read. It really takes on some stereotypes that we've had, some ideologies that we've carried over times, and really challenged them, and even, I'd say, busted some of those myths and really brought it all together in a systematic point of view. And I think it really is a good reference to how to start thinking about design as well, and how we need to further think about things as systems and not just instances of systems, and whether we can influence just an instance or the system as a whole. And so I loved the parallel with it. It was super interesting, and it really opened my eyes to history through a different perspective that I didn't have before. So it was a little bit of a slower read for me for sure, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I see it play out in our world and has affected the way I think about design for sure.
Well, yeah, thanks for that great recommendation. And we should probably sign you up as the lead of a book club. It seems like you're ready for that. Uh, and then another area I'd like to explore. Most of our attendees tend to be fairly senior practitioners. Experience levels skew toward more experienced. However, we always have a lot of new people attending, relatively new in their careers. Scott, let me put this question to you. Would you have a tip or a thought that you might want to share with those that are just getting started, maybe something to help them at this point in their career, or something that you maybe would have liked to know at that point?
Sure, though I gotta say, it's really hard for me not to start suggesting books. But if I have to not suggest a book and give career advice
Well,
instead.
why don't you suggest a book?
Oh, it's okay.
Oh,
All right, if you asked,
it's fine.
I'll make a short plug. Everybody in the world should read Werner Herzog's recent autobiography, ideally on audio, so you can have him in his wonderful South German accent speak it, called Every Man for Himself and God Against All, which is such a bombastic title. But if you want to get in touch with boldness, which is probably one of the most important things that you should have in your toolkit, or sensibility in your career, there's no one as bold as Werner Herzog, the filmmaker. Anyway, related to that, piece of advice. There's definitely something that I didn't know at the time and have gotten feedback on a few times, and now is probably one of the top 3 things that I tell any new designer or in any interview what success is and what to start cultivating. And that's your communication skills, and that your ability to communicate your design thinking clearly and precisely is as or more important than the actual work itself. So work does not speak for itself. There's some wonderful speakers out there and other design leaders that I look up to that have said this over and over. So I know I'm not the first, but I'm going to double down on it. Develop your ability to talk about your work alongside doing the work.
Well, thanks for that tip on the book and the thoughts, Scott. And thank you, both of you, so much for taking the time to chat with me, Atulya and Scott. It was great to have this chance to go over your session and learn a little bit more about your own interests. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the conference in just over a month.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. See you at
Thanks.
convention.
Thanks
See
a lot.
everyone
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye.